to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to This Week in Marketing, brought to you by the San Diego chapter of the American Marketing Association.
All right, welcome to another installment of This Week in Marketing from AMA San Diego, powered by WSRadio.com. We're here in the studio from a little bit of a hiatus here. Have a bunch of announcements. We had the Art of Marketing Conference was a great success, and a lot of people had a lot of really good feedback. All of the decks are going to be available, I think, this week at some point. Look out for an email from that. And if you attended, thank you very much. There will be a survey that gets sent out. So if you feel like giving feedback, that is always helpful for next year's event. Yeah, we have a really great show today. Kevin, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good, Sam. How you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. So we're talking about marketing books online. We have a pretty cool guest today. I want to make sure that he's on. Jeff, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. So, Jeff, what I think our guest today is Jeff Smith of IamNetworthy.com. It is a book for millennial finance for millennials. Really awesome topic, really important topic that many millennial consumers don't really understand how to do their finances, which is pretty crazy in my opinion. But Jeff, could you give us a little bit of a rundown of what the book is and kind of the whole philosophy behind I Am Networthy?
Yeah, absolutely. So I Am Networthy is a set of tools combined with a book. And like you said, it's designed to help millennials achieve financial freedom. It kind of started out as just a book, and then over time we developed, we noticed a need for calculators and tools, related to all the calculations that have to be done. And so we designed those and built those into an app that's on our website.
Awesome. So
Very cool.
When was the book first written, and why? Where did that inspiration come from?
Yeah, it was originally written in about 2018, I think is the official publishing date. But I would say it's been drafted long before that. So it started as a series of emails written by my dad for my brother and myself. And he was, just sending us these super long emails. And then we basically made a joke that he should write a book. And we probably shouldn't have told him that because he wrote a practical encyclopedia, which was the original book called Securing Your Financial Future. And then after that, it was about 500 pages. And I don't know if you've ever tried to sell a personal finance encyclopedia to millennials, but that's somewhat of a tough sale. And so he wound up working with 8 millennial co-authors to create I Am Networthy, and that was early in 2018.
Okay, cool. I love that. Let's, how did, we have this big book, right? And millennials, I don't know if the answer is they have a short attention span or they just don't care or they need flashy things. But at what point did the team over there say, you know what, this 500-page book is not going to cut it. We need to test it out. Was it just because sales or, what did you guys do market research or how did you guys kind of come to that conclusion?
Yeah, definitely. So it's a little bit of all of the above, but we got great feedback from highly credentialed professionals like, professors of personal finance and other people that are really, really high up in the space. And they gave us great feedback for more of a textbook type setting. But we found that we weren't connecting as well with our millennial audience. And so, we did surveys, we did conduct some market research and talk to some experts in the space. And they really advised us that stories were obviously the best way to connect with people. So that's kind of what the point is in I Am Networthy is, we have the 8 different millennial co-authors, and each one of them tells a little story combined with a little bit of the practical advice on a different topic.
Okay, I love that. And when somebody is starting to, kind of get involved with this, should the first step in kind of like the engagement with your consumer, is that like the book, or do you want them, or is it, could they use the tools first and then move on to the book? And I know there's like ebooks and stuff as well. How'd you guys kind of design that, customer journey?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have large topic pages on our website, and each one of those focuses on a different chapter of the book, which also corresponds to a different topic itself. So our goal is really for people to be introduced to our content through a variety of ways, whether that's, seeing our content on LinkedIn or hopefully one of our topic pages on the website. And those are borderline comprehensive guides or stories about one certain topic within the realm of personal finance. And then there's also interactive calculators built into those pages. So our hope is that people will interact with those pieces of content and, really be inspired by the quality of the content and the interactivity of the calculators, and then, move towards hopefully purchasing the book.
Okay, love that. And there's a lot of stuff in there to unpack. We'll talk a little bit more in the next segment. We have about 5.5 minutes left in this segment here. But few other kind of general questions. Kevin, you feel free to jump in here too if you want. The book industry, I thought it was really interesting because like prepping for the show, I was like doing a bunch of, research about what are the steps for marketing books, right? I've never actually had to market a physical book that wasn't on Amazon. So, there's a lot of really interesting topics out there. But when I did kind of my initial research, it was all searches on marketing books, not how to market books, marketing books that you need to market your product or whatever it is, right? So it's really interesting where there wasn't a lot of resources out there. So it kind of, dawned on me, that'd be a great topic for a show. So, kind of in a general theme, have you seen, even in the last few years, how have you seen like the book industry change? And, I know you guys weren't really involved in the book game until, the 500 pager kind of came into light. But, even in the last few years, how have you seen the industry change?
Yeah, sure. I mean, a little bit of context before, a little bit earlier in the around 2010 and a little bit before that, self-publishing is the new, it's what all the publishers do, or I should say all the authors do. Originally, you would, try to get a partnership deal with a real publisher, and they obviously have printing and distribution channels and networks set up. But these days, you can self-publish. We use a company called Lulu Express, and they actually allow us to print individual copies if we need to, but we obviously use them for bulk orders. But anyways, they allow you to, print whatever quantity of books you need on demand, which is huge as a self-publisher, so you don't have to be overly concerned with, huge quantities of books, which, our book is high color and we use high quality paper. So our books are definitely more expensive than just a basic black and white book. But in general, I've just seen, almost nobody goes the traditional publisher route, and everyone does self-publishing now.
Interesting. So is that, is the traditional publishing route, is that kind of like the pot of gold where, you don't have to pay for anything up front? They kind of do all the work. You have marketing teams like at your disposal, or is it just easier and more economical to, self-publish?
Totally depends on the book and the relationship with the publisher. We actually did have a publisher for that, the 500-page book. But from experience with other authors, you can really get gouged by a publisher if they know how valuable your book is, and maybe you don't know how to market it effectively yourself, or, they just have access to all those resources, like you said. But on the flip side, there's lots of individual self-publishers who maybe have a large audience or, have a revolutionary piece of content or something like that. And, they can become really successful overnight if they are, able to market their content successfully.
I imagine there's quite a bit of risk on going with the big publishers every once in a while. Like, it costs so much money to get into it, and then, there's always kind of a risk that it won't pay off.
Yeah, you have like 500 books just sitting, or 50,000 books just sitting in like a storage unit somewhere. Yeah, that's probably
and that's a good example of why we didn't exactly want to take a risk with I Am Net Worthy, because we felt that we could market it successfully.
Interesting. So you have the on-demand publishing. So if somebody purchased the book, does it just get printed and sent to them, or and how long does that take? Is that the model that you guys are using right now, or do you already have some of them ready to be shipped?
So you can definitely do that, but in our case, we really wanted to maximize customer experience, so we do have an inventory of books at all times. We also have, kind of a supply chain in that we have a solid inventory that we're required to upkeep on Amazon. We also have bulk orders that happen pretty frequently, so we like to keep a pretty large reserve of books just ready to go if we get a larger order, which for us is maybe 500 books or something like that. But we like to keep a big reserve just so we're ready and able to maximize or rather minimize how long it takes for the customer to get the book.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's a perfect segue into preparing for a book launch, which we'll talk about a little bit in the next segment here. A few more announcements before we do our first break. Art of Marketing was great. Again, we'll be sending an email out to everybody that attended. And we have got a few events coming up. Really cool event with Nixon Watches. The owner and founder of Nixon Watches is coming up. That's in July. And then in May, we have a mixer, which is going to be a lot of fun. It's a mixer at the Kimpton Hotel. So really, really excited for that. And we also have our SIGs that are constantly being rolled out, video marketing SIG and content SIG. So check those out on the website. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Thank you.
A podcast or radio show on WS Radio is a great way to create content marketing. Turn prospects into customers into raving fans. Contact Wade at WSRadio.com or call 866-WS-RADIO.
Hi, this is Rob Barnett, CEO and founder of VinVillage.com and the Wine and Dine Show on Vin Village Radio. Do you have a wine, event, product, or service to promote? Then contact VinVillage.com to reach thousands of wine lovers across the country. VinVillage connects like-minded wine enthusiasts with unique and exclusive wines, events, products, and services. To learn more, contact us on VinVillage.com. VinVillage is where wine lovers connect.
I raised $8,000 to build schools for South African children.
After realizing how many people go hungry in San Diego, I now volunteer at a food pantry.
I'm spending the next year doing volunteer projects across 3 countries and helping in ways they designate to be the most helpful.
The World Link program at the Joan B. Kroc Institute for Peace and Justice recognizes the potential of youth as agents of social change. Learn how you can help youth become a generation of leaders in action at peace.sandiego.edu.
One person has the power to change the world, impact millions of lives, and leave a legacy for lifetimes to come. That person is you. In the New York Times bestseller, What is Your What? Steve Olsher, award-winning author and founder of the Reinvention Workshop, reveals his proven process that has helped thousands of men and women discover, share, and monetize the one thing they were born to do. Grab your free copy now at www.whatisyourwhat.com/free. That's www.whatisyourwhat.com/free.
Take a break from politics. Tune in and learn something. WS Radio shows are worth your time and are filled with tips and advice. Add us to your lunch routine, and we'll give you a meal for your mind.
You take your smartphone almost everywhere you go. Now WSRadio.com can be there too. Search WS Radio in the Play Store for your Android devices or iTunes for Apple and download the WS Radio application. WSRadio.com on your phone and in your ear everywhere you go. Download the WS Radio application. Do it now. It's very easy. WSRadio.com.
Small businesses are the lifeblood of America's economy. Every Thursday, SBA Radio interviews industry professionals and is dedicated to provide small businesses with timely insights and innovations. Visit www.sbaradio.us for details.
Talk to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to This Week in Marketing, brought to you by the San Diego chapter of the American Marketing Association.
All right, welcome back to This Week in Marketing. I'm your host, Sam Wheeler, and in the studio today we have Kevin Speck.
Hello.
My co-host, and we have a great guest today joining us, Jeff Smith of IamNetworthy.com.
Hello.
Hey, Jeff. We're talking about books here and how to market them online. So there's a lot of, over the break, I was looking for a little bit more meta examples to show, I guess you could say, but there's a very interesting book on Amazon called How to Market Your Book Online, an Amazon ebook. So I thought that was pretty funny. I'm not sure I'm going to purchase it though, but we were talking a little bit about, kind of what to get started, like how to start a book launch. And Jeff, this is kind of a question for you here is, when you guys were getting ready to launch, right? So you had all the research and writing and preparation, and so you got it ready, you picked a publisher. What's the very first thing that you guys did, and what lessons did you learn, and what kind of tips could you provide for somebody who's preparing for their own book launch?
Definitely. So depends on the platform selected, but I'll just assume Amazon because it's definitely the best place to get started selling your book. I would say the number one thing is to get testimonials from customers or experts in your space. So getting those reviews and testimonials is probably thing number one. And then specific to Amazon would be to build a list prior to launching on Amazon. And I can get into that strategy if that's something you guys are interested in.
Yeah, totally. Let's we're going to talk about kind of setting up the marketing channels in a second here. I love the testimonials. I didn't even really think of that, to be honest. Is that something that you do research, how far out from a book launch do you need to get these books in front of people that can review it or whatever?
Yeah, definitely a couple of months. I would say probably minimum is 90 days from launch, and I'd say that's pretty aggressive depending on the size of your book and the type of content as well. But you really just want to. It's not enough to just give somebody a book and ask them for a review. You kind of need to go through a process where you're selecting people that are ideal in your target demographic, or hopefully you have them in your network. And then making sure that they actually have time to read through the book, and then giving them a way to easily provide you with, feedback or hopefully a testimonial.
So, Jeff, I'm a little interested in what you just said right there. When you're trying to get testimonials, what are some of the questions you ask?
Yeah, so we were pretty confident, being that this was our second go at a book, and we had already surveyed people based on our first one, so we felt pretty confident going in. But some of the questions that we asked, we were especially confident in the calculators that we had developed, because those were kind of a specific request from people. But we basically just asked them, what did you find the most helpful, or what was a transformative experience you had as a result of reading this book? How did this positively? Well, we tried really hard we actually hired somebody to help us with survey design, but we asked questions about how did this impact your personal finance life, and really just framing the questions, although neutrally, trying not to influence their answers or bias their answers, but just really trying to ask how did we influence their personal finance.
Right. Interesting. So, if you're thinking about, you've got this network of people that's in your target, that are influential in your target demographic. All of these book lists that are like New York Times review, and here are the top 10 reads that you must have this summer, and all of those quote unquote reviews. Are those actual reviews, or is it just advertising where you pay them and then they put you on that list?
Yeah, I can't comment on the authenticity of those reviews, but I would say there was no shortage of opportunities to pay for those type of reviews. or testimonials. But if you review ours, you'll notice that they're all from actual experts in the personal finance space.
Interesting. So
those are not ones you can pay for.
Yeah, totally. Those are the best ones for sure. So that kind of brings me to my next question here before we get into like setting up the marketing channels is how do you wade through, I've worked with a bunch of people who are like launching on Kickstarter and, are, fundraising and stuff. And there's a million different ways to spend your money. Right. And how do you wade through the review, kind of like when people say, oh, like pay us and we'll promote your book or whatever. What are some things that you should look for to kind of decide, that help you make the decision like, okay, I'm going to actually give this person money to review or promote my book?
Yeah, just I think if it matches up well with your your target persona or however your whoever your target is, if that's somebody that they listen to and consider influential, then if it's a good fit for your audience, then I would say it's definitely worth considering. There's also you can also research obviously their domain and the other ways that they would promote your book, and really just make sure that it's a way that you want your book represented.
Okay, great. That's kind of a good. So we've got the reviews all set. We're preparing for the book launch. Obviously, before the book launch, you want to set up your like marketing channels. So my first question is kind of what are the main channels that any book person or anyone who's trying to market a book should be using, and what are you guys using, and what have you guys seen has been successful so far?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I think you've already hit on this before, but selling your book on Amazon obviously gives you, access to the highest number of people that are the most likely to purchase your book. So that's definitely a platform of choice. It was our initial launch platform. I think for any book, regardless of budget, you should set up some type of website with lead capture and, just kind of have something basic there. In our case, we have a little bit more robust of a website just because we do have interactive tools and we are cultivating a community and that sort of thing. But even for just, basic books, or not basic books, but maybe ones that don't have as extensive of a digital presence, it still is necessary to have a website and, some type of lead capture. As far as the channels go, I would definitely say paid social has really brought us a lot of interest from our target demographic, and also from parents of millennials who are trying to buy their kid a book for graduation, or there's various reasons to get into that. But we're just starting to play the long game and diving deep into the organic search side, but in short, I'd say the major channels, Amazon, and, you can have a successful book launch entirely just from Amazon and using Amazon advertising platform, et cetera, paid social and organic search.
Great. Yeah, there's a lot to dive in there. I want to kind of start with Amazon here. What are some like the basic, setting up the storefront or setting up the book on Amazon? And you kind of touched on it earlier, but if you want to provide some tips or something that you guys have found that's worked well, that would be very helpful, because I know a lot of listeners out there, we've had people in the studio here that are promoting books that they've written about like leadership and entrepreneurship and stuff. And I think it can be cool from your perspective of how do we set up the store? Like what are the main things you need to worry about?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I do have a lot of experience not in the book realm, but it is transferable from selling lots of other products on Amazon. But it really starts with building the right listing. And for us, we sort of have an advantage over other books in that we have really high quality visuals, which was another thing that we gained during our feedback and research process from the first book. So that's kind of one of our initial advantages, and something that I'd really recommend is if you have great images or if you can get those into your book, highly recommend. We've received a lot of feedback about the visuals we created, because it's something that I think a lot of books miss out on. So just making sure that you use the images in your listing to communicate the value visually of your book. That can be really, really helpful. And then just some other basics, like obviously there's, keyword research that needs to be done. And I think depending on your space, you're going to want to maybe not go after some of the most competitive keywords that exist. So, for example, like for us, personal finance is too broad of a keyword. Although obviously we do, it is in our listing. It's not exactly a focus keyword for us, so to speak, just because the competition is very intense. And then kind of the last thing I would touch on is category and subcategory selection. So if you're going to select, your parent category is going to be really hard to rank in, most likely just due to competition. And then there are the subcategory that you select is going to be really, really important. And you can actually select multiple subcategories. So I would recommend doing extensive research both on the keyword side as well as extensive research on the subcategory side to figure out which subcategories you can ethically place your book in that also have low competition to give yourself the best opportunity to achieve bestseller.
Interesting. And so bestseller is obviously a metric just based on number of purchases within a subcategory?
Yeah. And it's also based on number of purchases in a single day or a span of time now.
Interesting. Cool. So the next thing we are almost out of time for this segment here. When we come back, I want to talk about some of the other channels. And we'll also like to touch on just kind of finish up the Amazon conversation too, because, once somebody buys the book, Amazon reviews are important for any product. So love to kind of get your feedback on what your guys' strategy is there, because that's a huge thing, obviously, especially post-launch. But we're going to be back in about 2.5 minutes. This is This Week in Marketing on WSRadio.com.
Can you imagine a world without children? A world where children don't play, or dream, or imagine?
At St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, we're working every day to find cures for diseases that strike down children, because we can't imagine a world without children. Can you?
Finding cures, saving children. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. To learn how you can help, log on to our website, stjude.org.
Tired of presentations with no impact, no inspiration, and no traction? Do dull speakers have you and your team disengaged and distracted by smartphones? Christopher McAuliffe brings energy, insights, and 2 decades of experience, delivered with punch, humor, and heart. Your team will leave energized, uplifted, and with a sense of purpose. Visit ChristopherMcAuliffe.com to bring some heat to your next speaking engagement. McAuliffe. ChristopherMcAuliffe.com.
Take a break from politics. Tune in and learn something. WS Radio shows are worth your time and are filled with tips and advice. Add us to your lunch routine, and we'll give you a meal for your mind.
Kinja Dixon was crowned the #1 sales executive through hard work, deep thinking, and the revelation of universal talk laws. He now wants to share these lessons with you. Universal talk laws are what you need to know and use in business and at home to have successful and effective conversations. Kinja Dixon shares his wisdom, action plans, and wealth. Each book comes with a chance to win $10,000. Find Universal Talk Laws at KinjaDixon.com.
Do you want to be a professional coach? Are you in business trying to make a real difference with people you manage or work with? Have you started a coaching practice that isn't quite getting off the ground? Get the skills you need to be a successful coach today with the Coaches Training Program from Accomplishment Coaching. The Coaches Training Program will show you how to help others focus and be more fulfilled. Whether you want to improve your company's bottom line or create a thriving coaching practice, Accomplishment Coaching can give you the distinctions and practices you need to coach others effectively today. Accomplishment Coaching has spent 6 years developing a cutting-edge coaches training program that will have you ready to coach people professionally in just 12 months, and you don't have to take time off work to do it. To find out more about the Coaches Training Program, just call 1-888-548-6813. That's 1-888-548-6813. 6813.
Small businesses are the lifeblood of America's economy. Every Thursday, SBA Radio interviews industry professionals and is dedicated to provide small businesses with timely insights and innovations. Visit www.sbaradio.us for details.
Talk to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to This Week in Marketing, brought to you by the San Diego chapter of the American Marketing Association.
All right, welcome back to This Week in Marketing. I'm your host, and we have I'm your host, Sam Wheeler. We got Kevin Speck in the studio.
Hello.
And Jeff Smith of I Am Networthy. We're having a great conversation here. We're just talking through Amazon, so want to bring that conversation back quickly here. Jeff, what are some strategies for, kind of growing your profile, your Amazon storefront or Amazon listing after your launch and you start getting sales, and what are your kind of review strategies? Or maybe not your review strategies if you don't want to say them, but what should someone do?
Yeah, absolutely. So, we use a piece of software from Feedback Genius, or I think it's from Seller Labs, and it's called Feedback Genius. But, it's really important that you send, email follow-ups to your customers that purchase on Amazon. Like, that's pretty much basic at this point. And just really trying to maximize their experience is really important. So I can tell you a little bit about what we do is, we do send an extra value add through email to our customers. And that has been helpful for us to generate some reviews. There's a lot of other strategies out there to get reviews. And, I will say that at this point, almost a majority of sellers do engage in, violating Amazon's TLS for the purpose of getting more reviews.
Interesting. So, yeah, that's a good tip. Don't violate the rules. Otherwise, you have a potential of getting taken down, I'm sure. And we've seen that with some of the other like e-commerce type products where you have these sellers that will just use and like churn and burn their listing, right? They'll just do a bunch of, spammy breaking the rules tactics, and then it gets taken down. They just put a new one up overnight. Do you guys see that in the book space at all?
Not as much, just because the rules are a little bit tighter on what you can do with listings. You can't really have as many child SKUs of a book as you can with other products, and you can't really hide listings in the same way that you can in general e-commerce. Books are a highly regulated category.
Interesting. Okay, cool. So we talked about Amazon, which is great. Want to talk a little bit about the paid social that you guys have seen success with. So, that's something that is usually hard for most companies to get that funnel working, right? What kind of tactics have you guys used, and do you have any tips for somebody else looking to kind of dive into that channel?
Yeah, definitely. Really starts with understanding your audience. That is step number one. So, obviously paid social has a lot more targeting options and a really good ability to test out different ideas. So I would say don't even think about getting involved in paid social if you're not willing to spend a lot to test and validate your ideas. A couple of different members of the team here have a background in paid social, whether it's doing ad creative. We have a really great direct response copywriter. And then, we typically have worked with much larger budgets, which allow us to really test and validate our ideas. And we look for statistical significance and a bunch of other factors to help make sure that we've selected the right ideas before scaling.
Interesting. Yeah, I really like the fact that you talked about, you actually have to spend money to get real results, right? And that's one thing that, we run into. A lot of people think, I'll just do $50 a month and then I'll make, $1 million every month off of that 50. And
it'd be nice.
It would be nice, right? And that's one thing we always say is you have to look at it more of like an investment, right? Than just getting 10,000 times return on your investment. It doesn't work like that. So that's really interesting. Okay, cool. And then, so kind of your websites, I know you guys are a little bit unique where you've got some really cool tools and some other content on the site. What tips can you provide somebody that may not have all of the tool sets that, you guys have, but are looking to kind of build out their website and kind of have that be another kind of landing page or a net to catch people in?
Yeah, definitely. So kind of depends on, if they're trying to rank organically, I would say build something unique, build something that, nobody else has made, and build something that's higher quality than what exists out there. But I would say that type of content coupled with a solid lead capture can really do wonders for marketing your book.
Okay, great. Yeah, I love that. And then, so that's my next question there is, do you funnel not you, but should somebody funnel people back to Amazon, or should they create a functionality to make purchase on the site, or kind of what are the pros and cons of that whole situation?
Yeah, definitely. So really depends on the economics of your book and which of those channels is the most profitable. I would say take a really hard look at, calculating your gross margin, your cost of goods sold, and other basic financial metrics for both of those channels and make the decision based on that. As well as, you have to evaluate what resources you have on your team and what's going to make you most successful. If you have access to a great paid social team like we do, then, you can obviously just drive that traffic to your website. But if you don't have access to that, or maybe you're cash strapped or whatever your reasoning is, Amazon can be a great way to just, keep all your sales and reviews, most importantly, centralized on one platform. So it's kind of a resource question.
Interesting. All right, great. So the next thing that I wanted to dive in here is like public speaking opportunities and partnerships and the physical aspect of marketing a book. We kind of touched on a lot of the digital realm here. So what I know you guys have partnered with some groups and I think some schools as well. So can you kind of give us a little bit of background there and talk through kind of like the importance of that type of partnership and physical promotion?
Yeah, definitely. So that has been one of our most successful channels. So we originally started working with a local Native American tribe. Now we actually speak nationally at several tribes around the country. And that is totally organic. We just got picked up by a member of a tribe up in Seattle. And we kind of just, worked on the relationship, and we actually wound up developing a custom program for tribes, and then we expanded nationally after that. But in general, what has worked for us is getting the book in the hands of industry professionals and other people that are educators. And that's led to, obviously we're an educational book, so that makes the most sense. But that's really led to partnerships and speaking opportunities and classes and workshops for us pretty quickly.
Okay, yeah, I love that. So, when you guys were looking for these opportunities, so, you guys are educational books, so it makes sense to reach out to these people in the education space. What were your kind of strategies for like connecting with them, right? Was it just straight cold emails, cold calls, or did you have any other, how did you kind of build a strategy to get the book in front of those people?
Yeah, absolutely. So the author of our book is my dad, Chris Smith, and he is a senior financial executive, and he kind of had the solid formal credentials, so to speak, in corporate finance. But he also started building his personal finance credentials, and essentially what we did is we used LinkedIn just to connect with different personas. We created ideal customer profiles for these different personas. And then using Sales Navigator, you can create custom searches. And we basically just created these lists of people that we really genuinely wanted to connect with. And this was initially just to validate our content and get testimonials. But we just kept connecting with them because it started generating really high quality discussions about the content. And that's really what's worked for us is, not trying to be super direct sales and that sort of thing, and really just staying focused on the quality of the education and the quality of the content that we deliver, and just really scaling that to try to talk to as many professionals in our space as possible.
All right. I love that. Sales Navigator on LinkedIn is a pretty powerful tool. So kind of a follow-up question there. What do you use to kind of, add value in your initial message to people, right? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people out there like myself. I get a bunch of just spam in my, LinkedIn inbox of people trying to, sell or recruiters or whatever. What are your strategies there to kind of break through the noise?
Yeah, so I can give an example. Like one of the personas that we reach out to are professors of personal finance. So we really feel that we have a couple of unique tools that no one else has created in the personal finance space. And that was something that really breaks that initial barrier is just we wanted to give their students access to a tool that doesn't require, it's free, it's completely free, it's just on our website. You don't even have to give us email or anything like that. So connecting with professors of personal finance, giving them a tool for their students, and just letting them know about the platform. And then later on, asking them if they'd be interested in reading the book and potentially if we could get their, review or just even thoughts on a particular section or trying to learn more about their students and seeing, what are the biggest challenges that their students are facing. And one of the best ones is, what are the problems that they're experiencing as an educator in the space.
All right, Jeff, sorry I got to cut you off there. We'll pick this conversation back up after the break. This is WS Radio, This Week in Marketing on WSRadio.com.
You take your smartphone almost everywhere you go. Now WSRadio.com can be there too. Search WS Radio in the Play Store for your Android devices or iTunes for Apple and download the WS Radio application. WSRadio.com on your phone and in your ear everywhere you go. Download the WS Radio application. Do it now. It's very easy. WSRadio.com.
On the internet, your business's reputation can be unjustly destroyed in an instant. Don't wait for that to happen. Building and marketing your 5-star reputation can increase your business by as much as 19%. Take control of your reputation and have the 5-star reputation you deserve with Reputation Marketing Solutions by DSI Development. Become the go-to company by visiting 5starrepmarketing.com. The number 5starrepmarketing.com.
Nowadays, internet devices are an integral part of your home. Everyone in your family has a smartphone, tablet, or a computer. Life is easier knowing that all your devices are secured and your family can surf the internet carefree. ESET Multi-Device Security Pack does just that. One license for all your devices. With ESET, it's simple to stay protected and save money. Enjoy safer technology with ESET Multi-Device Security Pack at ESET.com. That's ESET.com.
You may have heard me brag about Progressive Medical Center and just how much they've helped me with my health. And Dr. Goli, one thing that you have helped so many people with is migraines.
Unfortunately, there are millions and millions of Americans who are suffering with migraines and headaches, and they're debilitating because it affects the quality of their life, and they cannot function properly. At Progressive, we get to the root cause because we understand that migraines could be caused by nutritional deficiencies, hormonal imbalances, believe it or not, delayed food sensitivities. And once we determine what the real reason is, we put a plan of action together with medication that we get them off slowly, and we put them on an all-natural approach, and the results are amazing.
Incredible. I mean, there's so many people that can say they don't live their lives with migraines anymore thanks to Progressive Medical Center.
And that's what's exciting and rewarding to us as physicians because we help our patients take control of their health, and that's why they're living well.
Why don't you get a hold of Progressive Medical Center today? Don't live in pain. Don't have migraines anymore. Just go to their website, progressivemedicalcenter.com.
This is your life. Live it well.
This is Bill Gruber with BizVid Communications, a Southern California video production leader. We've been honored to sponsor, produce, write, and host many of the fine programs on WS Radio over the years. So we understand how important the internet and your website exposure are. As video producers, we know the tricks and secrets to incorporate video to increase your search engine optimization and business success. Visit bizvidcommunications.com to see what we can do for you. BIZVID communications.com.
Talk to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to This Week in Marketing, brought to you by the San Diego chapter of the American Marketing Association.
All right, welcome back to our final segment today. We've had having a pretty great conversation here. Our guest, Jeff Smith of I Am Networthy. Really cool book and, really awesome tools on their website that definitely you should go check out. We have a little bit of a shorter segment here, about 8.5 minutes. Jeff, I know you were talking a little bit about sort of your strategy for cutting through the noise. I really like the idea that you talked about of like adding value first and then asking for a review after, or asking them if they'll read it after giving them something basically to like get them on the hook, right? Have you guys seen that work in like when you're doing your paid campaigns? Are you also just promoting the value add over the direct, hey, buy this book? Or is that just something you've kind of only kept in LinkedIn outreach?
Yeah, so some of our tools are just now complete, but that has been our approach so far is to use. They're also fairly good looking tools, and we've received really positive feedback about the design of our site too. But promoting those tools with paid social has definitely gotten us a lot of attention and really allowed us to connect with people in our space, because the tools are really designed to help people that are in a certain, experiencing a financial problem, or allowing them to achieve a certain conclusion or something like that. So they're really meeting our audience at a time or a pain point that they have and allowing them to navigate through it using the tool.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that. So my last question here about like physical promotion is sort of like getting into physical stores. Have you guys kind of taken the leap into that marketing game yet? And if not, what are you planning to, or, is there anything that, you think the listeners could benefit from?
Yeah, so we are in a few physical stores. That definitely hasn't been a major focus for us. But we are in a few physical stores, and we got there just through direct outreach. Apparently it's pretty common for, we've had a few people that we've worked with that specialize in getting you into physical stores. And it's my understanding that they just use direct outreach and other, means of connecting with those people directly to get you into stores. But one thing I would say for anybody out there that does have a book is look for book distribution platforms. We lucked out really early on and got into a government and educational book distribution platform, and that has really paid dividends for us on the marketing side.
Okay, interesting. So they distribute the book, and you can make a purchase on their platform, or is it they're kind of like a partner that sends out newsletters, or how does that relationship work?
Yeah, so they do. They have a platform of lots of different books, and then essentially large organizations and institutions contact them about a certain book, and we do offer bulk and discount pricing through them. But yeah, they just basically have a big platform, and there's different ways that they can get the word out for you.
Interesting. Yeah, I love this idea of just direct outreach too. A lot of people think that there's no value in like typing a handwritten email anymore, but with all of the spam out there, sometimes a handwritten email is almost more effective than some sort of automated campaign. So that's really interesting that has worked for you guys. All right, cool. That's kind of covers most of the stuff that I wanted to talk about in the marketing space of setting up the book. Is there anything that we missed, or any other tips or advice that you wanted to provide for somebody who's getting ready to launch something that they've created?
I think really focusing on that launch period, which we already talked about, is absolutely paramount to the success of your book. So, really focus on getting those reviews and having a successful launch.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, because I guess you can't launch twice, right? So you gotta.
That's right.
You gotta prep for it. So I guess we could do a whole hours and hours of podcasts around setting up a book launch. But I think we covered the basics, I think, which is a good place to start. I wanted to kind of talk through any type of real world examples of just amazing book marketing campaigns that you've seen. I don't want to put you on the spot here if you don't have any off the top of your head, but kind of an interesting question that, I've thought of a few myself, but I wanted to get your perspective on, awesome books that have been wildfire in the marketing world.
Yeah, definitely. I can give one just off the top of my head is our good friend, Dave Ramsey. He's, technically in the same space, so some people might think of a competitor, but we kind of have different targets. But, huge, obviously wildly successful book, and now it's really developed into a bunch of different business units for him.
Okay, interesting. And what was his book about again?
Yeah, it's about personal finance and different strategies to achieve financial independence. So we have a similar focus in that way.
Okay, so why do you think, what elements of that sort of successful book launch and popularity and stuff, why do you think that campaign was so successful?
Yeah, absolutely. We did a lot of competitive research and, really looked deeply into the strategies that other people in our space have been successful with. Dave Ramsey he basically works directly with churches is how he initially found success. So he leveraged a very connected and audience through churches and Christian people. And then he used that initially to, acquire customers. And then over time, he developed relationships with local financial advisors in those regions. And then they developed a working relationship together as well.
Ooh, interesting. So that goes back to I guess the churches aren't necessarily a distribution platform, but sort of, I guess, if you can get the pastor talking about you and getting in they all have book groups and getting in with a close community, I think is a really awesome piece of advice for anybody that's trying to launch their book there. So that's really good. So we have 2 minutes left here. I know this is probably not a question for 2 minutes, but what's the outside of sell a bunch of books, what's the long-term goal for Networthy?
Yeah, definitely. So we just want to help all millennials achieve financial independence. That's kind of the short mission. It's a really complicated problem. There's obviously issues in our education system where, none of this is addressed. Like we're busy learning algebra and not how, credit cards work and basics like student loans and that sort of thing. So, our goal is really just to help millennials achieve financial independence. And so far, it's going really well. We are going to be developing on the technology side a little bit more, so continuing to build out our tools, and hopefully we'll continue to influence the formal education space around personal finance.
Amazing. That sounds
very, very much needed.
Yeah,
I can say as a millennial growing up, we got none of that.
I don't think I even learned how to balance a checkbook in high school.
Yeah, we were learning about parallelograms and tetrahedrons, which is really come in handy nowadays.
But yeah, that was really awesome overview of how to market a book. Jeff, really appreciate your time. Jeff Smith of IamNetworthy.com. Check out their website. There'll be some show write-up where you can see the tools and kind of all the stuff that we've talked about here on the show today. Jeff, thanks so much for coming on. Anything else you want to say to our listeners here?
No, I think that's it. And really appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me on.
All right, thanks, Jeff.
Thanks. So we have 10 seconds left in this segment. Want to give a quick shout out. Kevin had a really cool podcast for his company.
Yeah. I'll provide a link in the write-up here. We had a really good guest. We worked with co-founder of Moz, Rand Fishkin. We got a really good segment.
Leave him on a cliffhanger there. Gotta go listen to it.
We talked about everything from search engines to entrepreneurship to influencer marketing. It was a really good show. Check it out.
This is This Week in Marketing on WSRadio.com. We'll see you soon.
Can you imagine a world without children? A world where children don't play, or dream, or imagine.
At St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, we're working every day to find cures for diseases that strike down children. Because we can't imagine a world without children. Can you?
Finding cures, saving children. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. To learn how you can help, log on to our website, stjude.org.
Do you want to be a professional coach? Are you in business trying to make a real difference with people you manage or work with? Have you started a coaching practice that isn't quite getting off the ground? Get the skills you need to be a successful coach today with the Coaches Training Program from Accomplishment Coaching. The Coaches Training Program will show you how to help others focus and be more fulfilled. Whether you want to improve your company's bottom line or create a thriving coaching practice, Accomplishment Coaching can give you the distinctions and practices you need to coach others effectively today. Accomplishment Coaching has spent 6 years developing a cutting-edge coaches training program that will have you ready to coach people professionally in just 12 months, and you don't have to take time off work to do it. To find out more about the Coaches Training Program, just call 1-888-548-6813. That's 1-888-548-6813.
Tired of presentations with no impact, no inspiration, and no traction? Do dull speakers have you and your team disengaged and distracted by smartphones? Christopher McAuliffe brings energy, insights, and 2 decades of experience, delivered with punch, humor, and heart. Your team will leave energized, uplifted, and with a sense of purpose. Visit ChristopherMcAuliffe.com to bring some heat to your next speaking engagement. McAuliffe. ChristopherMcAuliffe.com.
Looking to be a successful entrepreneur? The virtual assistant industry continues to be a top choice for those looking to start their own business. The problem can be how to become a virtual assistant. Many turn to the Bible of the VA industry, the book, Virtual Assistant, the series, and it's the perfect guide for office managers, executive assistants, and other administrative professionals looking to make the transition from employee to successful business owner. Go to vatheseries.com to get your copy today.
Hi, Scale listener. This is David Finkel, co-host with Jeff Hoffman of Scale Your Business. I wanted to let you know that our newest book, Scale, was just released, and to encourage you to get your copy. The book will give you 7 proven principles to grow your business and get your life back. Scale will help you work less by getting your business to produce more. Get your copy online or at your local bookseller. For more information, visit us online at scaleyourbusinesstoolkit.com.